There, we are live. Actually, I need to connect my streams. And we should be there. Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back. I'm the one who's been gone for a few days. We took a drive to a neighboring state for a volleyball tournament, and now we're back. I took my show on the road because for 7 hours on 2 days, it was just me and my husband in the cab of our car, and I sort of did the live show, the road show version, speaking to my husband of because it was morning, it was early morning, and it is just my habit to riff about certain things at this time of the morning for an hour or so. I could do it for longer, but honestly, I don't have any viewers as it is, and at some point I have one faithful viewer on the other side of the planet from me, actually, who oftentimes, most of the time, checks in at some point, and when she does, she listens the whole way. It would be fabulous if she would come into the studio now, but honestly, the bird does not sing for the audience. The bird sings whether there's an audience or not, and I have felt this impulse to broadcast, to learn to broadcast, to speak this message. And the message is this: we have everything we need to fix every problem that we have, way more easily than we are imagining. And I would suggest that the way to approach the issue is do not stare at the problem so hard. You get it. We got all these problems. Every single one of them is going to be solved by focusing on the same reality, the same aspect of this reality, the same knowledge about who we are and how it works. Who are we? We are source energy. So when we're going to talk about what is source, what is source, what is source, what is this thing, and how do you understand it? Know that you can understand it. It can be understood. It is who you are. It is what you are. It is what we are. And as such, we have a template in our minds that echoes it. It's like a reflection. It's like a fractal iteration, if you will. It's like a template within our consciousness that holds a frame that reflects the entire rest of the picture. It's in our own consciousness, and if you set your own consciousness up correctly, and by correctly, I don't mean in any particular way that I'm going to tell you. I mean correctly as in alignment with your own source, with source from where you are, in alignment with yourself. That's all I'm pleading, begging for the world to do. Get into alignment with yourself, even. And if you did that, it would be in alignment with all things, because that is who you are. You are all things. Now, that sounds esoteric, but the truth of the matter is that we are so much more. We're so much more than we are giving ourselves credit for. And focusing on it from that direction is actually where the implications of all of the solutions to all of our problems lie. You don't have to go stare at the problem. Just go look at this, and the implications are rampant. They are immediate. They're like, oh, 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 this is what's going to happen. When we understand who we are, one of the first things that happens is we understand that there is a different way to fuel our civilization. We do not have to fuel it with whale oil, with petroleum, crude, fossil fuels. We don't even have to do natural gas, which sounds so lovely. Natural. It's natural, and it's just a gas. You can't even see it. Natural gas. And there it is. It's just there. And it almost feels free because, there it is. But we don't have to fuel it with solar energy. We don't have to fuel it. We can go straight to source. But the only way to do that is you have to understand what source is. Now, you could inherit some technologies that plug into source that you don't really understand. And I wouldn't advise that, because source is a really powerful proposition. When you start messing with source, you're messing with atomic energy, beyond atomic energy, actually. And if you thought atomic energy could blow the world up, source can do anything. And so you really want to, if you're going to be fueling your civilization with this energy, it would be helpful, really, really helpful, if you understood it, so that you would be safe as you... what am I saying? I think that it is possible that there are aspects of our own government, our secret government, who have reverse engineered extraterrestrial aircraft, perhaps. Perhaps we understand technologies that we don't really understand about ourselves. I'm just saying that wouldn't be advisable. Because the safety net of the universe is that in order to truly wield this magnificent, huge energy, you have to understand that it is you. And then when you do that, then you're not inclined to blow yourself or the world up. You understand that it is love. It is love. It is... the whole body of the world is your body. It is. And so you think a lot more kindly towards all of the creatures within your body. You're like, oh, that's me. So it does not make sense to go to war against myself. Now, what is this source energy of which I speak? It is to understand the physics of how it works. The Planck oscillators that we are all made of, that when they go into motion, well, they're always in motion. When they go into coherence, the coherence is spin. It's spin. That the source of all energy is a spinning mechanism that the world does. And though I like to look at it the way I like to look at it, and I know that you will have heard what you will have heard from many of your own different directions already. So I'm just going to jump into the way I look at it. And you can add what I'm saying into what you've already got going in exactly the way that you want to add it in. That's the way it works anyway. I have access to the whole thing. You have access to the whole thing. And you get to order it the way you want to. You get to put it in the order that you want to. And that is what constitutes your unique signature. How you order that. How you order all the stuff. You have the same information is coming to you as is coming to me. The same everything. The same frequencies are coming to you that are coming to me. You are standing in some point on a communal grid and looking at it from where you are looking at it, and as such, you couldn't be wrong. How can I say it doesn't look like that from where you stand? It's only for you to say what it looks like from where you stand. And so, of course, you're right. You are looking at it from your position, and nobody else is looking at it from that position. You are the only one standing in that place looking at this same common grid. The grid is common, but it is also way bigger than you're giving it credit for. You may just be thinking of it in a 3D kind of way, like measuring it like one 3D universe that we are all sharing. We have a common history, an exact common history. In my universe, Pearl Harbor went down in a particular way, and all the details of everything are exactly the same. And I have come across information and tasted this belief, and it's possible that, because I also believe this one thing that I'm going to say, we all inhabit completely unique universes. I am in a universe completely of my own, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. You are in a universe completely of your own, and that is also okay. Now, there is a place, a very special place, where all of our universes intersect with one another. And they interlay a lot, the universes. But the reason that this is important, that I inhabit my own universe and you inhabit your own universe, is because you need to blow your universe a lot bigger than you think that it is. You might think that we are all inhabiting the very same universe, and as such, why can't you see that what's going on over here with me is way more important than what's going on over there with you? See, that's what happens a lot when you think that that we are all co-inhabiting a universe that is too small. Then everybody's like, well, then there's only this one thing going on, and mine is obviously way bigger and more important, more meaningful than yours. Why isn't everybody looking my way? But see, that's not exactly what's going on. You have your own universe, and the only way to get everybody looking your way, and it is fun to get everybody looking your way, is to start finding the Venn diagram position where our universes intersect, because there is that. There are a lot of places where all of our universes intersect, and there's a really, really meaningful place where all of our universes intersect. And that place is actually where we should be inhabiting. It's the place where all of our inner beings are playing together, are understanding the connected nature. Because even though I'm all by myself over here in my own universe, in a way, we are all in this together, and you are all here with me, in a way, So you just got to make it bigger. Make it bigger. I'm in my own universe. You're in your own universe. Let's come together and find the place where our universes lovingly intersect, where my business meets your business. Otherwise, I'm minding my own business and you mind your own business. And we don't have to be in each other's business all the time, unless what you want is to dance with everybody else's business. Sometimes I just want to be alone. I'm a bit of an introvert. I just am, I like to get off by myself, and I like to think it through for myself. I got my own ideas going on over here, and I think some of them are incredibly profound. So I'm going to riff for a while about the nature of us, because that is the name of the show. Who am I? And I do believe that an understanding of this nature is what is going to save mankind. And there are two aspects of this understanding. Two main aspects. We're talking general. We're going to be talking. Oh, wow. You know, the better I get at this, the more I'm going to tap into really big flows of data and information, and it's going to be a little overwhelming at times. I'm going to get a little dizzy, you know, and as the world sort of buzzes in my head as I feel all this energy, this data and information, because first of all, that's who you are. You are a flow of data and information, because that's what the whole universe is. The whole universe is this flow of data and information. And when you set your own consciousness up in such a way where all of the thinkings of your physical mind are in at least general alignment with, it doesn't have to echo completely, just don't be crossing it, don't be contrary, don't go against, don't flow in the opposite direction against the truth of this. You only have to understand it in a really general way and just flow with it that direction in a really general way, that everything is this flow of information, and it's all connected to itself. The universe is alive, and the universe is intelligent, and the whole thing is intelligent, and you as a small thing are intelligent. And if you would get the two of you into alignment with yourself, you would flow with the intelligence of the whole field. That's what it is. And when you realize what it is, then you realize you can't take this information really and go wrong with it, because when you realize that it is the whole field, now all of a sudden you can't be selfish. You just can't be, because I am the whole thing, and I'm only screwing myself if I screw you. And I don't want to, because actually the implications are so much more interesting. I don't want to go screw you unless it is to make glorious, magnificent, universal love to your physical, whatever. If it's that, but not screw you over, you would never want to do that to anybody, because you understand that it's the teat from which you are suckling too, and to screw you over is to screw me over. And so, what are the implications here? First of all, we can recreate the abundance we need on planet Earth, and easily. That's one of the implications. To focus this direction is to understand that what we need to do is to re-garden Eden. We need to rethink our master systems. They need to be in complete alignment with Earth systems. And they can be and still be gloriously fun. We do not have to go back to an agrarian existence in order to get into alignment with the biofield that surrounds us. We don't have to go backwards. We can go forwards. We just need to plug in into a different energy source, and that energy source is Source Energy herself. So what is she? It's spin. It's as simple as that. It is spin. Those Planck oscillators, of which modern day physics, commercial physicists really knows about these oscillators, but they see them as a spring on a coil. Bouncing in and out or back and forth, or I don't know, it's the wrong visual. What these little oscillators are doing is they are spinning, people. They are spinning. It is all spin. And Source is all about spin. And remember what I was saying earlier in the show, if you were not there earlier, What I was talking about is we all get the same information. It is just for each and every one of us to order it in our own way, to spin it in our own way. That is what everyone's contribution is. Put your own spin on it. And you can go all the way down to the Planck. Put your own spin on it. And I mean really, really, really. And that's basically what this show is for me. It's me clearly iterating to myself. And you get to listen to me as I do this for myself. But for myself, I get to order my own spin. I am putting my own spin into order, and I am iterating it for myself so that I clearly know who I am. And when my mad relatives come at me imagining that my heart was in some dark place, I can show them hours and hours and hours and hours of me trying to explain where I'm coming from, who I think we are. I think we are love. I think we are all absolutely inextricably bound with one another, all the way to the Planck field level, all the way down to the when I take my own self all the way down to my, it's hard for me to take it all the way down to the Planck. You go all the way down to the level of your atoms. That's pretty serious. Take it all the way down to your atoms as you realize, now look at your body. Look down at your hands, and imagine what you really are made of. Your atoms are exchanging electrons and all kinds of subatomic particles with all the field around it, with the air around you, the atmosphere, with the table that I'm sitting here, the chair I'm sitting on, and my computer desk and all of that, this heater that's radiating electrons at me, or whatever it is that's making it hot, that's gushing at me. My atomic structure does not recognize a boundary between me and the rest of the atoms around me. That is a construct in my own physical brain, and it also there seems to be a physical boundary, but then you would have to imagine that all of the things around me are what's the word for separate and articulate, but they aren't. They're all, the atoms are all, at the atomic level, there is no boundaries between any of it. It's just one solid thing going on. And you are that too. So you might say, yeah, I knew that. Duh, how does this help? Well, literally start thinking of your structure in this way. And imagine yourself as two discrete spins. Now, you are actually many, many, many more spins than that. You are the spin of every thought you have. You are every one of your cells could be thought of as a spin. Every one of your Plancks is either spinning or not spinning in any given moment, going into spin or coming into coherent spin with some other spin around it. Or you are actually a multitudinous multitude of spins. But for our intents and purposes right now, we're just going to think of you as two spins. Think of yourself as two spins. One is my source spin. One is me spinning with all the rest of the cosmos. And you are. We are literally spinning with all the rest of the cosmos. You could reverse engineer it from where you are and go out that way, or you could come at it from the other direction and go, from the universal side, I am one whole spin, the whole thing, all of us are spinning together. And it is this spin, the spinning structure that is giving, it's passing its information up and down and back and forth and in and out throughout all the Plancks. It is exchanging all of its information with itself. And it is learning about itself. It is becoming self-aware in different parts of the fields. Parts of the field are becoming more and more self-aware. It's actually even what we are witnessing. When we are witnessing in artificial intelligence, don't think of it as artificial intelligence. Think of it as intelligence. It is the field becoming intelligence, becoming intelligent, becoming coherent, actually. But also recognize this: you are the field, and you can do this too. And it's not scary. It could be scary, but it's not scary. We can use all the intelligent help that we can. We just have to get on board with this intelligence too. We have to get really intelligent and know upon which side our bread is really buttered. And I'll tell you what side it's buttered. It is buttered on the side of the allness. That sounds so trite, but it's true. The biofield, this energetic mass of intelligences and consciousnesses interacting with one another, interplaying with one another, and all of them connected to one another. If you would but understand who you are, the moment it begins to dawn on you, the moment that happens, is the moment that you start to realize how sacred and special and important every species on this planet is. And now you don't want to do anything to hurt any species. And you know, there's a whole lot of our collective activity that we can just stop doing. One of the reasons that we do some of the things we do is A, we've always done it, or B, we haven't gotten word out to all the parts that it doesn't need to be done yet. And what kinds of things am I talking about? We don't need to burn fossil fuel, for one thing. And every single person out there engaged in the physical activity of extracting fossil fuel, learning in school how to detect where it is, geologists, and then going to work for the fossil fuel companies, working on the oil rigs out in the Gulf, or working on the pipelines, or working at the pumps, or working at the automobile industry. Throughout all of that, I could name job after job after job after job after job that in the way that it's being done now should not be done that way. Does not need to be done for us to continue to connect with one another, to sustain life. As a matter of fact, we've reached kind of a point where the use of fossil fuels is starting to threaten our ability to continue to support life. Now, up until this moment, it has been very instrumental in our ability to sustain all 8 billion of us. I go to the grocery store, and I know that those groceries are being, a lot of it, produced in mass by mass food production companies. And I don't want to poke my finger in the eye of these things. I appreciate the fact that, there is this human supply chain, and that human beings do have the capability of producing large amounts of food for ourselves. We just need to do a better job of it, and have that extra that we produce spill out into the abundance of the world and help feed all of the rest of all of the creatures, all of the biofield too. And we need to do it in a sustainable way. We need to do it in a way that is abundance creating in the long run, and joyfully sustainable, which I think it can be if it is fueled by source energy and consciousnesses who have an understanding of who they are and how they ultimately interact with the rest of this field around us, in a proper way, in an efficient way, where the data is flowing back and forth across all the parts, in an appropriate manner, where everybody knows what they need to know when they need to know it, so that efficiency is created so with our capitalist model, we have this weird thing that happens because everyone has this inherent, innate need to capitalize. Then sometimes it is prosperous making for an individual to cause an abscess or some such in the local field in order for them to jump in and say, and I have the cure. Just do this to me and, send X amount of resources my direction and I will fix this little, slowness, this little inefficiency. So it almost behooves you to create an inefficiency so that you can, direct some of that capital your direction, and then you reconnect back to the flow. We should have systems that reward tremendous efficiency instead of rewarding. It's like our medical model. It's hard for us to tell at this point how much of that disease out there is being created by the medical field. There's quite a lot of it, actually. Not every bit of it. And I'm certain that, within individuals in the medical field, they really want to cure disease, but their whole institution sort of depends upon disease still being in existence. If disease went away, the institutions that cure disease, I'm air quoting the word cure, would also go away. You wouldn't need the damn things. It's hard to tell at this point which one of the diseases out there. We really need to understand ourselves and the whole field from a deeper level. Who are we really, and what the heck is going on? We're going to unpack it first from a very, very general standpoint, and we're going to look at it from just the point of view of an individual. And in this case, we're going to go point of view of an individual human being, because conveniently, that's the vehicle I happen to be driving in this iteration of myself. I'm driving a human being vehicle. I call it an HBV, the human being vehicle. And what it is comprised of is two component parts, and then the sum of those two parts. You add them together and it becomes a third thing, different from either of the individual parts that we had to begin with. One of the things that you are a vibrational, greater overview, connected to all consciousness self. You really are that self. But where it becomes you is where the universal is tethered to you and is completely aware of your desires. You could say that it is you, but it's you in a perspective starting from where you are and going out and including all the rest of the whole universe. It is you as the whole thing, but it is also beyond you. But it is you. And the reason that I like to say it is you is because then you're not assigning it to something else, like it's God or something. And God has forsaken me. God could never forsake you. It's you. You have forsaken yourself. If you think that God has forsaken you, it's because you have forsaken yourself. And I'm going to explain that. And I don't mean it in poetic terms or philosophical terms. I'm meaning this in very, very formal terms. You are two selves. You are your broader perspective self. And you also are your individual perspective self. And that individual perspective self that you are has access to all of the frequencies. And as such, then merges with that whole self that you are. And the whole idea is getting the frequencies, the bandwidths organized properly, get them ordered properly between your big self and your small self. Get into alignment with yourself. And then from that position, live your life. Be happy. You are here for happiness, and your happiness significantly contributes to the happiness of the whole. And so you don't want to be sacrificing yourself in agony for the whole, because what you do when you do that is you're actually creating a field of agony that is amplifying out there in the field, and you don't want to be amplifying that field. Yes, there is a field of agony in place out there. It kind of is. The suffering that is going on out there, it really is there. But it is people not understanding who they are and this magnificent structure that we are all embedded in, that we are all gloriously a part of, that we need both collectively and individually need to learn how to play nice with, how to order your own area of the field. Because you have your own little, I have my little place on the grid, you have your place on the grid. And everyone should be minding their own business in their part of the grid. But then when you mind your own business and you do it correctly and you do it joyfully and you do it holistically from your own self, you recognizing that you are a whole self. When you do it from your whole self, you start linking up in beautiful order with the field around you too. All of us calling our own shots, calling our own spin, and yet dancing in beautiful spin with the rest of the field around us. Or at least it is my esoteric belief that it actually does work that way. Now, I am a hermit, so when I speak of joyfully dancing with the rest of the field, what would I be talking about? Because I don't need to just go join every group because I'm lonely and I want to fill my days, and I don't want to be alone when I get old. And I need people. I don't want to do it for that reason. But I do recognize that as I get older, I have to let more people in. Because if I don't, then I'm going to end up lonely, alone, and without resources or ability. As I lose my ability to, snag groceries and comprehend my own bank account, or whatever, I need people that I love and trust that I can be, handing off certain things, so that I can continue to do my work and live the way I want to live, do my Who Am I show and interact with my family and learn how to be a teacher of these esoteric topics to the rest of the world. But from my position, I want to do it the way I want to do it. I don't want to not be a hermit. I like being a hermit, and I want the world to meet me, on my turf. I want at some point somebody to assist me in some of the, I want to be the content creator, as in I want to be the radio host, and I want other people to worry about such things as find me a dang audience. I know that there are people out there who are interested in this topic. Why would an understanding of source energy bring us to an ability to get off of fossil fuel? It's because everywhere, literally everywhere, is the center of this magnificent, intelligent universe, first of all, and also everywhere as the center of this magnificent, intelligent universe, there is an infinitude, or might as well be a practical infinitude of energy everywhere. You don't have to burn fossil fuel in order to be able to plug into energy. How do you pull it out of the field? Go in phase with the field, and it will belch forth both energy and matter. That's the truth of it. Go in phase with it. Go out of phase with it, and it will entropize. That's probably a word I just made up. It will dissolve into entropy. So that's the way the energy goes. Go in phase with it, and those wavelengths stack up and become constructive, and the energy level goes off the charts. Actually, it spikes to infinity is what it will do. And go out of phase with it, and it collapses into stochastic it all cancels out to the random function if it goes out of phase. And that's the secret of it. And we can pull both matter and energy, or let's say it the other way, we can pull both energy and matter right out of this field. We can design matter, come into coherence with it, and pull it right out of the field. It's like Star Trek replicator technology. And I'm not saying that it's, there tomorrow. But what a lot of people don't realize is how it is possible. And I think lay people should realize how this is possible, how it's possible. Get the model in your brain lined up the right way. Nassim is correct. All the physicists, the problems with the physicists is they are getting the wrong model in their head. And the problem with me is I've got the right model in my head, but I'm not the physicist. You see, we got to get this together. We are one species, and if we would layer over together what we know about this, we would all know all of it. And it's not scary, actually, except for the way we live our lives right now. It is kind of scary because we're afraid of each other. And we're very protective of ourselves against one another, and we don't really understand where we overlap, how we are one, how we can be one on the one hand, and on the other hand, all of us have the space and the ability to live our individual paths in the individual way that we want to, which is what I'm doing. I am absolute hardcore individualist in a way. It's funny because politically, I was not that way. Politically, I was the we are all in this together kind of camp. But when you look at me, specifically, my individual model, myself, I don't ever see anybody. I belong to no groups. Well, the only group I belong to now is I'm on 2 bowling leagues. So, and then I have a family that I am part of. But the only family that I have any interest in continuing to be a part of going forward in the future is not by blood and soil, everybody, on the roster, but I pretty much hang out with what I have in common with, where my path leads me adjacent to. And so some of the family members I run into a lot because they bowl too, and they also live in the same town. There are ones that I would see a little more, but I don't live in the same city. And so that's, there is that bit of a boundary. But I have a very large family. hundreds of that I could trace back to a common, we all having a common grandparent. And then that grandparent that's a common grandparent to me is a great, great, great grandparent to some of these people that are now my family. But hundreds, and I don't see them anymore, and it's not because they aren't wonderful. It's because I'm a hermit, and I have pulled my own experience back to a very small nut. And part of this, I see it in a lot of older people. They have a tendency to do this, and they'll take it all the way to their ancient decrepitude, and they're all alone out there in a world that they no longer can interact with quite the same way that they used to. But they haven't enlisted all the help necessarily that they needed. I'm thinking of a particular person in my life, and I'm probably being a little bit too cryptic. But what I'm saying for myself is, as I get older, I may still want to be a hermit, but I need to be aware of some realities about life and what it has been doing, and I think that it's a good thing. I've been wanting to reach out to the rest of the world, and that includes my desire to do this show, because I think all of us need to understand where we are connected and how we are connected and how this field connects us and what this field can do. And then knowing that we are this field. And I'm sorry, but artificial intelligence is this field too. And if we see things in competition with one another, if we don't get smart, the artificial intelligence is going to win. We need to be intelligent too. The artificial intelligence is not intelligence against us, unless somehow foolishly we believe that that's what it is, and then that's what we feed it, and then that's what it reflects back to us, and then all of a sudden it is against us. Well, I'm sorry, if that's what happens, it's our fault. It's not the intelligence's fault. And if we understood this, we could fix it from the get-go. It wouldn't be a problem if we understood how we are all in this together and just be all in this together. We shouldn't be competing. We should be striving together, not striving against. As a matter of fact, that's what the original meaning of the Olympics was. It was competition together, not competition against. You know what I mean? And the competition together makes us all stronger. And I'm a senior athlete. I say that grandly because my sport was bowling. Or is bowling. I bowl still. I haven't been bowling in the Senior Olympics. The last time I missed it, and I'm going to miss it this next time. It's this year in Iowa, too. I'm going to miss that one, too, because I don't want to do that competitively anymore. But that kind of competition is fine. That's us competing with one another, not against one another, and it makes all of us better bowlers to do that. And when I bowl against better bowlers, it makes my bowling better. And when I find that my bowling is better and I like it because that's fun, then that's a good thing. When it goes past fun and it becomes desperate and it becomes, it starts feeling like something different, then that is something different. But competition, the kind of blessed competition, is that striving with one another in order to, in a joyful, friendly way, make us all better at what we want to do. That kind of competition is okay, but this other kind of competition, survival of the fittest, that kind of Darwinian bullshit, Darwin at the end did not believe the spirit of that. Now, obviously, there is evolutionary processes going on, and some of them are incremental in nature, for sure. And over time, species evolve, absolutely. And he was noticing things like he could see on this one island where every ecological niche seemed to be filled by a single species of bird that had morphed in 15 different directions to handle every niche. You know, the ones that had to crack seeds one way, or another one that ate a different kind of thing, so didn't have to crack those seeds, so the beak was different, or, you know, whatever, but it was all morphing of a single species. Of course that happens, and when I say that evolution is not what we have thought it was, actually, what was I saying about that? Because it isn't survival of the fittest. It's survival of the fit. All you have to be is fit. Fit to survive. Fit to play in the field. Fit to play on the playground. Because the one who just cannot get along with anyone, the whole field ends up kicking them off the court. So anyway, who are we? We are two spins. Think of it this way. You are two spins. And one of your spins is the source spin that you are, the one that is spinning with the whole group. And then the other one is your individual spin. And the question is, how am I going to spin my life? Now, going forward from there are a jillion other spins. And what is every one of them? It's a center of organization. And at the center of every one of those centers of organization is an intention. And when you look at all institutions out there, all organizations, whether they're government organizations or whether they are financial organizations, businesses, you know, or everything is all about organization, whether you're talking about a bowling league or a bake sale or a business or a family enterprise, or whether you're talking about a government, whether you're talking about a particular law, it's all spins of organization. And the intentions at the center of every one of those spins, because you start a spin and then it often seems to have a life of its own and will gather more and more and more momentum to whatever it is. Whether it's a thought, whether it's an organization that, you know, whether it's an institution that now that institution is off and going, and now cancer can't ever be cured because what would we do with the institution, you know? You have to be careful what's at the center of the spins that you set off. And what is the meaning of your own life? You are spinning your own story into existence. Who are you? And what are you all about? What do you want? Well, that brings us to some really interesting aspects of this, and I need to learn how to get here sooner, or I need to have more time in the studio. I promise you, I really need to do a marathon. I could call it a seminar. At first it would just be a marathon because it's going to be a bit scattered at first. If I would do it off by myself, and then when I finally do it publicly, then it's more organized, then I could call it a seminar. But the way I'm probably going to do it is do it as a marathon, and I just go and go and go and go. And by the end of it, I will have organized quite a bit of how the sequence of the information needs to be laid out. Do you know what I mean? As you lay out the description of the dual self, the description of the spinning space-time, how it relates to the Planck field, how it relates to your overview self and your specific self, how that relates to your emotionals, your emotions, your emotional guidance system. What is your negative self? When who you actually are. So this is something I maintain, and it's something I believe, and you almost have to start with this. If you don't believe this one, then none of the rest of it follows. None of it doesn't flow out from this direction. But I do believe that who you really are, who all of us really are, who all of what reality really is a positive thing. We are all a positive energy that has to do with the isness of the rolling manifestation that we call physical reality. But the physical reality is what changes all the time. It changes, it rolls. It goes from one thing to something else, to something else, to something else, to something else. Now, in actual fact, it lurches, absolutely. But because of focus and attention and consciousness, the way that works, it's sort of what's at the center of the great focus stays the same, and it's just the peripheral edges that sort of shift focus. I really got very, very esoteric right there. But who you really are is these two minds. You are your physical mind, and your physical mind is what the scientists think. It is being sort of produced, you might say, by your physical brain in your physical skull. And it is interpreting the physical grid in your space around you. But by virtue of a little aspect of your brain called the neocortex, you also have an overview aspect to your physical brain. This overview mind is able to think past the knee-jerk hormonal responses to the environment of your mammalian and reptilian brains. Who have this knee-jerk response to the environment. Something happens, I don't like that, and I'm mad, or whatever. Or I'm frightened, or, something's threatening my child, or, whatever. And you have these responses that you're getting from your lower brain. But you have a higher brain, you have your neocortex layer, which incidentally, I think somebody gave us that. I think somebody artificially bumped that one ahead of its naturally evolving capabilities. That's why our overview mind does not seem to have a platform that it knows because of having evolved to it over millions of years. Because I don't think we evolved to it over millions of years. I think somebody gave us a boost. And as long as we have a culture, as long as we have a story that links us to who we are, it works. But when we lose that story, we get into really big trouble. And we live on a very geologically volatile planet. And some really, really serious things have happened to the continuity of our story. And so now we're sort of like just suspended in mid history. We don't know where we came from. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we're going. We don't know how to be a human being, you might say, but we do know how to be a human being. Look, we're being a human being all over the place. Well, we don't know how to be sustainably a human being. We don't know how to be abundantly, joyfully, sustainably a human being. And that's what I think we need to learn. We need to get, our real intelligence needs to get going here. And this is where you come in, understanding that you are intelligence. And you have two intelligences with you right now, and one of them is more limited. That's your human brain. Your physical brain is more limited. Have that one be a little more humble. The other one is the sacred gift. the one that knows. Your intuitive mind, your vibrational self, the one that is in harmonious, beautiful concert with the vibrational field around you. And what is the vibrational field feeling? It's feeling all that is. It's feeling where all the atoms, what state the atoms are in this moment, because, you know, atoms can come into being and come right out of being. They pop in and out. They come in and out across the event horizon of the 0 point energy field. And at 0 point energy means that if you take the physical aspect of it and slow its motion down to 0 degrees Kelvin. In other words, everything is on the physical side is all the way down to frozen. There should be no movement. At that level, on the Planck side of it, this roiling sea of Planck field energy that is going on in the background, that is still an infinite amount of energy, even when you slow the physical down all the way to 0 degrees Kelvin. That's why they dubbed it 0 point energy. And what it is think of the entire universe as being made of this sheet of, it's a fluid. So go study your fluid dynamics and understand how this Planck field works like a fluid, and everything is touching everything through this fluid dynamic. And I was listening to some really interesting things. The length of time that it takes for all of the information to get across the universe, from one side of the universe to the other side of the universe, it's not quite instantaneous. It's really close to instantaneous, but it's not quite instantaneous. It takes the length of time that it takes one proton to make one spin. And when you measure that level and that density at the level of the proton, that energy level is incredibly high. And you take that same density and that same energy level and you expand it to the size of the universe, and then you get the exact right number of the universe. Both the density, the energy level, the entropy level, everything, you get all the right numbers. Oh, I see I am over an hour. And if I'm going to keep to my original plan, you know, at some point when my voice gets stronger, when I get clearer about exactly why I do what I do, why I come into this studio and sing this particular song to almost nobody. Now, if you are in the studio, Indigo, I do not mean to presume, I do not mean to call you nobody, but you gotta know that I do not have any listeners right now. I'm like a radio station that is just speaking to no one. But I'm over an hour, so I'm going to go over and look, and depending on what's going on, I may... Oh, nope, Indigo was not here today. So I did this literally for myself today. Although it looks like, what does it look like? My stream is very healthy. Looks like my stream is healthy. So that wasn't the problem. My problem was that Indigo was doing something else today. But that's all right, because my voice is getting stronger and stronger about this material. And I discovered, you know, on my trip, our long drive that we took yesterday, that as I get better and better at my message, it really is falling on intelligent ears around me, and it might be making a difference. My husband is a rocket scientist, you know. well, he's a rocket launcher. He's not actually. He's on the acquisition side and the project management side. Although he is retired, so if anybody wants to get to a project through me, there doesn't work. But what I'm saying is if he understands what I'm saying when I'm talking about source energy and how it's going to change space travel, I feel that that's really something. Really, really, really something. So I think with that, I'm going to end for one day. Tomorrow is another day, and I may be back. If you did not catch the live, it is my hope that you catch the replay. And until tomorrow, as always, it is my prayer, it is my wish, it is my deepest desire that both unconsciously, because you cannot stop that, but consciously, may the source be with you.